Okay. All right, we are recording now, so I'll just begin now. So welcome to What Can I Do with My History Major presentation. So today we'll be going over an overview of the history major skills. Then we'll be discussing experiential learning opportunities for history majors. Then I'll speak a little bit about post-graduation options for history majors, then job and industry options, as long as graduate school options, and then UConn history alumni, and talk a little bit about what they're doing. And then we'll go into some additional resources as well. So part one. So what's important to note that with your history major, you have a vast number of skills. So kind of taking the idea of like much further as opposed to a more linear path. So for instance, like other majors might have like a specific linear path, but the beauty of the history degree is that it is so broad. So you truly can go into any field that you're interested in because you have these various skills along with several others that will lend to you being very successful in any field that you go into. Because you look at these skills and these are all highly desired by any industry in any company, especially verbal communication skills or critical thinking skills. So in any company at all, they're going to value those skills because they want to know that you're able to think and that you're able to look at problems uniquely. So these are all very, very vital skills for history majors that history majors do have that are going to translate to any career path that you all decide to go through. But it's important to note that these might be what you're focused on more so in an interview setting or more so when you're searching for positions, as opposed to communicating that you just have a degree. You're kind of digging a little bit deeper into what skills that degree warrants you, because that's definitely gonna take you a little bit further. It's really important to know that your major does not equal your career. So just because you are a history major does not mean you have to work in a museum or any of those stereotypical jobs that people assign to history majors. You can truly just utilize these skills and communicate them in a way that an employer can understand that you truly can be successful in any position you choose to go into. So now we'll speak a little bit about experiential learning opportunities for history majors, and I'll turn it over to Erin.
Awesome, thanks, Aaliyah. So first, I'm just going to go over what experiential learning is. I'm sure you all have heard of it before, but I'll just go over a brief overview. So experiential learning is the best way to get yourself career ready and to determine if a career field is a good fit. Students can learn about their chosen industry and job functions that will help guide their career path. And most of the time, experiential learning leads directly to a full-time position with the same company or organization and always looks great on a resume. So common examples of this experiential learning include research, internships, co-ops, part-time jobs, volunteering or service, clinicals, and more. So yeah, I'm sure all of you have had experiential learning opportunities before. They are a really great way to boost your resume as well as to gain that really necessary experience to figure out what exactly you want to do for a career. So it's nice. It's usually over the summer or a semester, and it's just a really great opportunity to learn about your chosen industry. So the first experiential learning opportunity I'm going to talk about is research. So there are a couple options when you're looking to do research, if you are looking to do research. There's academic research, which is done in collaboration with one or more faculty members or grad students at a college or university. And there's also industry research, which is done at a company outside of academia. There are plenty of research opportunities at UConn. I think I'm going to discuss some of those a little bit more in the next slide. But there's also opportunities at other universities over the summer if you're interested in doing research. And like I mentioned here, various companies also have research opportunities for experiential learning for college students. Yeah, so in order to find these research opportunities, it can get a little bit daunting. I know I was interested in research when I was first looking around as an undergrad, and there are a lot of resources, but it's really difficult to find out which ones are the most helpful. So first and foremost, UConn has an Office of Undergraduate Research. They have a website. It's linked here, which I believe, Aaliyah, are we sending out this presentation to everyone after the fact? Awesome. Okay. So yes, you'll all have these links in the presentation after the fact, since you all have signed up and are attending. But yeah, so this website has pretty much every opportunity that professors have posted for undergraduate research. They also have a lot of contact information for people to reach out to, which is honestly the best way to get involved in research. this website doesn't have all of the opportunities, but if you're ever interested in researching with a specific professor, reaching out to them via email or office hours is definitely the #1 way to not only build a connection with that professor, but also to figure out what research opportunities they are doing and if they have any openings in their lab. The second resource that is listed here is called Linkus, and I've used it before. It's sort of like a filtered research opportunity search engine. And so basically what you do is you put in what field you're interested in. So in this case, it would be history or anything else, honestly, but probably history for the purposes of this presentation. And then every research opportunity that has been posted on this search engine pops up, and it links to so many different things. It links to opportunities to do with history, opportunities that may have a little bit, have something to do with history, but not as much. So it really is just an interesting way to not only see the opportunities directly related to history research opportunities, but also to see what other options there are in collaboration with those things. Also, like I mentioned earlier, direct outreach to those professors or researchers that you want to get involved with is a great way to find those opportunities. Obviously, they might not always have an opportunity, but just building that relationship so that they will remember you going forward is also great. And then, of course, as with everything, networking is super important. So whether that be on LinkedIn, in events like this, in events that the Center for Career Development hosts with alumni, all of those things will allow you to build a greater network. And if you tell people that you're interested in research, they will remember that when an opportunity comes up and they can recommend you for that. So these are all three great ways to find research opportunities in your undergrad. Now a little bit more about the application and the timeline of applying for research opportunities. So they really do vary across the board. Sometimes there's a formal application process. Sometimes you just reach out and say, hey, I'm interested in doing research with you. And they say, okay, let's do it. So it really does depend on the opportunity itself, but you should be prepared for everything. And timelines also vary. Sometimes experiences will follow the academic year timeframe. So it'll go from the fall to the spring and you won't do anything over the summer. Or sometimes it'll just be a summer experience and then you won't do anything throughout the semester. So once again, it depends from opportunity to opportunity, but there is an opportunity for whatever you're interested in. If you're interested for the entire year, there's opportunities for that, for a semester, for a period of time. So yeah, it just depends on what you're looking for and yeah, what you find. And now I'll pass it back over to Aaliyah to talk a little bit about internship.
Yes, thank you for covering research, Erin. So internships, there's many different options. So history majors can intern in almost any industry. What you might find is that often when you are looking at job descriptions or qualifications, it might not say within the job description of like recommended or restricted to certain majors. It might not always list history, but that doesn't mean you can't apply. I always encourage students to apply, even if you don't see history located in the list, the short list of majors that that employer is looking for, because there's usually typically like an additional piece at the end of those lines that says like in other relevant majors. And I think that's where a lot of history majors might fall in, is your major is definitely relevant. So history is too broad of a keyword to use when you are searching for internships. So you might have to be more specific. So for instance, if you're interested in a certain industry or profession, you might search like historian or curator or archaeologist. If you're interested in business, you might search like human resources or marketing or business or management. So it really just depends on what you're interested in. But those keywords are definitely going to help you find some of those searches and positions that you are looking for. And also it's important to think about why you want to do an internship to also develop that list of keywords as well. So do you want to develop certain skills? So maybe if you are looking for an opportunity to further develop your writing skills, maybe you're searching writing, maybe you're searching communication skills. Also thinking about the skills that you currently have that you would like to grow, skills that you have and think you excel at. Maybe that's another keyword to search. So just thinking about unique ways to develop different ways to search and find those opportunities that you might be interested in applying for. So these are just two examples that Erin identified through Handshake. So Handshake, if any of you are not familiar, is our platform that we connect with employers on to post jobs and opportunities and internships for students. So through there, we have over 14,000 jobs, I believe, that are posted now that are jobs or internships for UConn students specifically. So we connect with employers who want to hire UConn students, and all students have access to Handshake. So definitely Handshake is a great place to kind of identify some of those opportunities. So these are two different examples of opportunities that were listed in Handshake. So you see on the left, the history internship. They want you to be enrolled in a higher education program, which you all are, have a keen interest in archival or content research, strong organizational skills and time management, ability to work remotely. So you're just looking through these different requirements to understand if you feel like you'd be a good fit, if you feel like you meet these qualifications and that you would excel in this position. The one on the right is the museum interpretation intern. So this is for third or fourth year interdisciplinary humanities students, and you'll see history is located there, which is great. And they want someone who's dependable and punctual, which if you're that, you're qualified. They also mentioned the minimum hours that they'd like you to work, the different skills that they'd like you to have. But these are just two really great examples of internships that I encourage all of you to apply to if you're interested in that. But really what's important is the skill set that you have and less about the specific major that you're within. But these two opportunities are looking for you to have that history major. So these are just possibilities within Handshake that we've identified, but I'm sure there's many, many more on other job boards or on specific company websites. So internship search strategies. So you'll see here that online boards are posted about like 1 out of 200. So what that means is typically when you're solely applying only on online job boards, so such as Handshake, Indeed, LinkedIn, or even Glow and Global, you might get an opportunity to secure 1 out of 200 times. So that's not enough because that's a huge margin. So what you want to be doing is like a combination of each of these 3 different strategies. So you want to be looking on different job boards, but you also want to be doing some direct company outreach. So that's whether you're looking on specific websites, if you do a simple Google search to look up companies near you that you might like in an industry that you're interested in, maybe going on their specific websites, maybe even meeting with some people who work there to understand what they do in their role and how you might fit into their company. And then that typically warrants if you're just doing online job boards and direct company outreach, it's about like 1 out of 40 chance of securing an opportunity. But what's really, really helpful and really increases your odds is if you're networking, which you'll see is about a 1 out of 10 chance of securing an opportunity. So that's utilizing your personal network. So your classmates, your professors, your advisors, people you've worked with in the past. If you have had an internship, it might be your internship director or your supervisor, even using UConn networks. So we have the Husky Mentor Network, which is a platform for UConn alumni to connect directly with students. And we connect with alumni who want to have those conversations with students. So using LinkedIn as well, or even using the UConn History Department resources as well. But utilizing each of these 3 different search strategies is definitely going to optimize your search and help you be more successful in securing an opportunity. So an internship's application timeline might look a little bit different versus the research opportunities. So the typical application process with internships is usually you're applying online, which usually requires a resume and a cover letter. Some opportunities don't require a cover letter, but many do. So the first is submitting that online application. And then second step, there's usually a first round interview, but the goal with that is to make sure that you can do the job. So really the resume and cover letter just gets you the interview, but that first round interview is really going to there's really going to be where they get to understand more about who you are and if you would be a good fit. So that's what the interviewing process is mostly for, is understanding more of how that you can do the job and if you are a good fit. So internships typically takes place about between the summer, fall, and spring, or maybe even a combination. So you might have an internship opportunity that's between August 2020 to May 2021. That's very possible. Winter internships are also possible, but they're a lot less common because the winter break is so much shorter. And you can earn academic credit for an internship, and you'll see there's a link. So when you get the presentation, you will be able to click on that, and it'll take you to our Center for Career Development internship page that shows you how to gain credit for your internship. But I spoke with the history advisor, Heather Parker, and she mentioned speak to her about how internship credit can fit into your plan of study. And there's other opportunities for experiential learning outside of an internship. So experiential learning can look like having volunteer experience or even service experience. You can shadow someone who's in a role that you would love to be in 10, 15, even 20 years. Maybe participating in clinicals or co-ops, which a co-op is you're working full-time and you're taking classes part-time. Maybe even service learning, part-time jobs, student organizations. I think that's one of the most underrated examples of experiential learning, because when you're on a board, or even if you're just like, if you're a member of an organization, you have skills. So like you might be presenting to that organization. You might have excellent organizational skills if you're the secretary and you have to take notes. So just thinking about how to pull the different experience that you're gaining from each of these different types of opportunities. So even if you are having difficulty securing an internship or you don't have an internship, that's completely fine. Definitely look into these other opportunities as well to continue growing professionally. So now I'll turn it back over to Erin, who's going to talk a little bit about post-grad options for history majors.
So this first slide that we have is all about first destination data from the classes of 2016 to 2020. And so basically what the Center for Career Development does is send out a survey at the end of every academic year asking what the seniors that are graduating are going to be doing following graduation. So as you all can see here, for history majors specifically, over the past 4 years, 47.8% of them came out of college with a full-time job, full-time or part-time job. 40% are continuing education, either grad or master's or PhD. 10% are still looking, so that could be either taking a gap year or deciding whether they want to continue their education or just looking for a job. 1.1% are doing volunteer work, and 1.1% are doing other. So that might be serving in the military or any of the other experiential learning opportunities that Aaliyah mentioned in the previous slide. So as you can see, it's very probable that with a history major, you are going to have plans after graduation, which is really good to hear. Yeah. So this is a chart of the career readiness competencies from the National Association of Colleges and Employers. So as you can see, all of these skills are super important, obviously, when you're looking for a position, but they're also skills that history majors have. We mentioned pretty much all of these skills at the beginning of this presentation. And so while some of them may be a little bit more important than others, they're all still really important to be a well-rounded candidate for any position. But you will gain all these skills from the experiences that you have in your undergrad, whether that be, like Aaliyah was mentioning, in a student organization, in a research position, working on a team, in a competition, anything of the sort. So these are just things to keep in mind while you are looking for those post-grad opportunities, because employers are looking for these things, colleges are looking for these things for their master's and PhD candidates, and are very important. But also very easy to earn, because we are in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, and these things are something we learn with our well-rounded curriculum, which is really awesome.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll also add that this data comes directly from the National Association of Colleges and Employers. So they did a survey. They do the survey every year, and they survey hundreds of employers to identify these specific competencies. So what are employers looking for in their employees? And these are the typical competencies that comes up. So it's not just like they pulled these out of thin air. They actually got these from employers who want to hire people with these skills. Another skill that I forgot to mention in regards to history majors is that historians offer a unique perspective on the many ways that the past shapes the present and even the future. The curriculum behind a history major helps you understand a complex world of diverse cultures and traditions, which global and multicultural fluency you'll see is listed on this slide as well. So I think that's extremely important to look at your education from that framework as well, as your education is helping you become a better person. It's helping you think differently. It's helping you consider other perspectives, which is going to be so very helpful in your future career. But history is studied for both its own sake and for the light it throws on present problems and future prospects of particular societies and of humankind in general. So you're going to be able to utilize the information from the past and the present to make informed decisions about the future, which employers really, really value. So it's also important to have that context as well, that that's also an extension of your history degree.
Thanks for adding that, Aaliyah. So here are some common industries that history majors can go into. We have academia and education, becoming a professor, becoming a high school, middle school, elementary school teacher. Then we have anthropology, archival work, business, curatorial work, genealogy, geography. Then we have journalism and law. Those are two really big ones that a lot of history majors choose to go into because some of the skills that you're learning are ones that can also apply to these different industries. Then, of course, there's library science, political science, and writing. Aaliyah just dropped a link in the chat that, Aaliyah, do you want to talk about that, what that is a little bit?
Yeah, so I just put a link in the chat to those what can I do with my major links. So this goes into these different areas and the different strategies that go into working in each of those different industries as well.
Awesome, thanks for adding that. So yeah, these are just a few of the industries history majors can go into. Like Aaliyah mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, the skills that you learn while being a history major can transfer to any industry. It's just a matter of what you're the most interested in and how you are able to apply the skills you have learned from your major and from your opportunities that you've experienced in your undergrad to that specific industry. So this is not an exhaustive list, but just a place to get you all started. And search strategies for finding a job. So yeah, they're pretty much the same as finding an internship. Like I mentioned when I was talking about internships, or when Aaliyah was talking about internships, most internships can lead to a full-time position with that same company. So as long as you are finding a very secure internship, it's a very great doorway to a full-time position. But also you can just apply for full-time positions. You don't necessarily need to have an internship in order to get in the door in a company. But yeah, especially during a pandemic, they haven't changed. You just need to make yourself stand out now more than ever before, especially because, you know, things aren't happening in person. If you're going to a career fair, you have to do it online. And if you're applying for a position, you're not really able to network in person. It's more so networking virtually. So having that strong resume, that strong cover letter, these strong supplemental application materials are very important so that you can get that first interview and get your foot in the door. And yeah, UConn specific employers are available on Handshake. As Aaliyah mentioned earlier, we have lots of jobs posted on there that are looking for UConn specific students. We also host a career fair each semester. So next semester, for anyone that isn't a graduating senior, be sure to check out the fall career fair. And we have other career center events that, such as this one, where alums come to speak. And that's another great opportunity for networking and to grow that personal network so you are able to make those one-on-one connections. Instead of having a 1 in 200 chance, you can narrow it down to a 1 in 10 chance of gaining a full-time employment. And then of course there's graduate school, which is the other half of post-grad opportunities. So you can always get a master's or a doctorate. Master's, you can go Master of Science, Master of Arts, Master of Fine Arts, Master of Business. And then of course, PhD, MD, JD for law school, or doctor in education. And if you are interested in looking for grad opportunities, it's a little bit daunting of where to start. I know I just went through the whole process of looking for grad schools and not really knowing where to start. But here are a couple of search engines that are really helpful and that are highly acclaimed for looking for graduate schools that you're interested in. So Peterson's, the Princeton Review, US News, and also if you're looking for a specific school, what programs they have, their school website, their grad program page, such as UConn's grad program page or any of the others. They are pretty exhaustive as well. And admission requirements vary across the board, but they tend to emphasize academic abilities and research experience or just opportunities that you've had throughout your time in school. So it really is good to have those experiential learning opportunities listed in full force on your resume because those are really beneficial. Admissions boards really look at those things when you are applying. So be sure that you have those really strong, not only on your resume, but also on your LinkedIn. And yeah, they also really try to emphasize the letters of recommendation. So once again, that personal network that you're building, those people that you're reaching out to for research or for internship opportunities can also be people you can reach out to for letters of rec for grad school, as well as the personal statement, which the Center for Career Development does personal statement critiques. So that's also a great resource that you have when you're looking to start even thinking about grad school. And some common fields for grad school, once again, not an exhaustive list for history majors, but just some to get you thinking, get you started. Obviously, you can get a master or doctorate in history, but also there's English, education, journalism, law, and student affairs and higher education. So like I mentioned earlier, a lot of history majors actually do decide to go to law school to take the LSAT, to do all of that good stuff. But there are also other opportunities as well. It's once again, what you're the most interested in, what you want to do with your career, and how you want to apply what you've learned and experienced in your undergrad to what you're going to do post-grad. And now I'm going to pass it back over to Aaliyah to talk about some history alums.
Thank you, Erin. So it's important to kind of frame this in the mindset of understanding what other people are doing with their history degree as alumni. So on LinkedIn's a great place to identify that information. So if you go onto LinkedIn, which actually I should explain what it is. So LinkedIn is kind of like a professional Facebook. So it's a professional platform where you can connect with different people and like who are in a field that you're interested in or even not that you're interested in. But I think LinkedIn's a great place to kind of do that networking because you can connect with past coworkers, past supervisors, professionals that you might be interested in working for or with one day. You can truly connect with anyone, but I think LinkedIn has a really robust database of information that I think is helpful to view. So the way we found these 4 different alumni is on LinkedIn, we search University of Connecticut, and then it comes up as a company. And then from there, we click on alumni, and then you can search history, and then it'll bring up all the history alumni from the University of Connecticut. And I think that's helpful because it kind of shows you the possibilities within your degree. So I think within a lot of social sciences or humanities majors, I think oftentimes people hear like, oh, my major's so broad, I don't know what I can do, or there's only specific things I can do. But I think looking at the data set of what all history majors are doing who graduated from UConn is helpful because it shows you just exactly what other people are doing and kind of can expand your list also what you might be interested in doing. So maybe you might discover an alum who's doing something that you never thought you could do with the history major, but you're super interested in it. Maybe connect with that alumni, have a conversation, learn about what they're doing, and figure out if you can shadow them or intern for them. So there's so many different opportunities like within LinkedIn. So if you don't have an account, highly recommend you creating a LinkedIn account. But some examples of history alumni who are pretty successful now. So Micah Goodrich is an adjunct professor of English, and they received their PhD in English at UConn as well, but they received their undergraduate degree in history. You'll see Matthew Lahaney is a global history teacher. They received their bachelor's in economics and history at UConn, but now they're a global history teacher at Dream. Michael Emons is an architectural historian preservation specialist. So they got their master's in American history at UConn, and now they're currently working in the role that they are in. And lastly, Rachel Conboy. So I connected with Heather Parker, the advisor within history, and she mentioned adding Rachel because Rachel has a unique position. So Rachel also got her bachelor's in history from UConn, and then she went on to pursue a master's in business administration, and she's currently working in waste management. So Heather mentioned that a lot of history students are interested in business, but they don't really see the linear path there, or they don't really understand or see that they can get there. But Rachel is an example of a great alumni who has gotten there and who is working in the field of business as a senior process improvement analyst. And she's been working there since she graduated, I believe, from UConn, and has advanced to, I think this is her third position. So she's continuing to advance through the ranks. But when you receive this PowerPoint, you'll actually, I can just put a link to I'll put the links to all of their LinkedIn's in the chat as well for you to just click on and view. But I just think it's important to view other alumni and see what they're doing to kind of expand your list also. And also I want to mention, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, but we will also have some time at the conclusion of this event to answer some questions you all have. So here are some additional resources that we'd like to share with you all today. So Erin, do you mind just taking over?
Absolutely. So the Center for Career Development has a lot of great resources for all majors when they're trying to figure out what they want to do for their career, which is obviously the point of college. But for history majors specifically, we would recommend checking out the career communities on the Center for Career Development's website. And what the career communities are specific to a certain industry or certain industries, and they have organizations you can become a part of, both student and professional, as well as job opportunities, blog posts about them, alumni you can connect with, skills you should have, just a lot of great resources about specific industries. So for history majors, particularly arts, media, and communication could be really helpful if you're looking more for that journalism writing aspect. There's also education and social services, so becoming a professor or becoming anything along those lines. And then, as we will continue to mention, because it's such a great resource, Handshake is available not only to schedule a career coaching appointment. So if you've gone to this presentation, you're like, okay, this is a lot of great information. How do I sift through this? How do I sort through this to realize what exactly I want to do? So scheduling a career coaching appointment could be really helpful, as well as searching for those internships and jobs we mentioned earlier. Also, there's the Husky Mentor Network, which is another great opportunity to connect with alumni. This is a little bit more personalized than LinkedIn because these alums are members of the UConn community that sign up to be a part of this Husky Mentor Network. They want to be connecting with the current UConn students, the current undergraduates, to help them. And so once again, you can go on that, filter through to see history majors and connect with anyone and start talking to them. Vault, I actually don't know too much about this, but you are able to explore industries you might be interested in through that. And then of course, there's the graduate school resources page that has all the information you could want about grad school prep. So timelines for grad school, personal statement writing, how to get letters of rec, all of that good information. And then there's our events calendar where you can see upcoming career fairs, panels, presentations, and workshops such as this one. And then other resources that we have found and compiled for you. Of course, the history department's page at UConn is super important, and they have a subsection of their website just dedicated to history internships. So once again, if you're interested in not only getting an internship outside of the academic year, but maybe doing one for credit, not only reaching out to the history advisor, Heather Parker, but also checking out this website is a really great place to start. And then I'll mention it again, the UConn Office of Undergraduate Research website has a lot of great opportunities for undergraduate research. And then there's the American Historical Association, which is a professional organization for anyone interested in history. So that's another great place to connect with people, to learn more from those who are currently doing things in history, are currently in the field of history. So lots of great resources out there. This is, once again, not an exhaustive list. There's plenty of, if you just search professional history organizations, plenty will come up. We're able to connect, network, and then grow your professional network to gain those amazing opportunities.
Thank you. So now we are at the conclusion of our presentation today. So please feel free to email myself or Erin if you have any additional questions. But now we're going to open the floor up to all of you. Feel free to unmute yourself if you have a question or put it in the chat as well, and we'll be able to answer any questions that you might have. All right, I'm not seeing any questions coming through so far. But Erin and I will just hang out here for about the next 5 minutes or so. So if you do have a question, please feel free to stay back. But other than that, that is the conclusion of our program today. So thank you all for attending What Can I Do with My History Major. If you change your full name, we'll be able to email you the presentation right after this presentation. And you'll also receive the recording momentarily. So thank you all for attending today, and we hope you have a great rest of your day and a great end of the semester.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you all for being here. Hi, David. Do you have a question for us?
Oh, no, I was just getting the LinkedIn usernames.
Oh, okay. Yeah, of course. Take your time.
Okay, all set. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.